I guess I was unsure as to whether I would be able to convey something in a nutshell. I think the 21 questions idea is a really great idea.
Go higher highs, higher lows. Every year my network grows. Every day my network grows. Running relays, running nodes.
Harris, thank you for the lovely interview about Islamic finance. Now we'll move on to the lightning round, where I ask you 21 questions in random order in 10 minutes.
Great.
Before we start, can you reintroduce yourself to the audience, please?
Yeah, my name is Harris Irfan. I am the Chief Executive of Cordoba Capital Markets, or CCM. I'm a former investment banker with Deutsche Bank and Barclays Capital.
Perfect. Okay, so here's the timer. It says 10 minutes. And I'll read the first question and then I'll start the timer. Are you ready?
All set.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so first question. How is Bitcoin viewed from a Sharia perspective?
There are some scholars who think that it is impermissible or haram. There are some scholars who think that it is permissible or halal. Generally speaking, Bitcoin is considered by scholars who are well versed in this subject technically to be halal because it has the characteristics of sound money. It is a medium of exchange. It cannot be printed. It is fungible. It is divisible. It is durable. It is saleable across time and space. And that's why they believe that it is a good form of money.
Are fiat gains from trading Bitcoin considered riba?
Fiat gains from trading Bitcoin are no different from buying and selling any asset. It's only riba if you are making money out of money, for example, through lending it or through fractional reserve banking. But if you're simply exchanging one asset for another, that's not riba. That's a legitimate trade.
What is money?
Oof, that's a really tough question. What is money? Well, I guess in Islam, there is actually a famous scholar, 12th century scholar called Imam al-Ghazali, who said that God created money so that it may be circulated between hands and act as a fair judge between different commodities. So in other words, he's saying money is just a medium of exchange. It's not a commodity to be traded by itself.
Wow. What resources can someone new to Islamic finance explore to learn more?
There's a lot of stuff about Islamic finance on the internet. There are a number of websites that talk about this subject. There are a few books out there. Frankly, I don't recommend many books on Islamic finance because academic textbooks really have a limited understanding of what happens in the real world. And I think if one looks at books that are written by practitioners, so I've written a book on this subject. There are others, one or two other practitioners who have written books on the subject of Islamic finance, and you'll find plenty of information on the internet about what is Islamic finance.
There will be signs. The year is 2035. Bitcoin has reached $1 million US. How are you living?
If I'm alive then I would very much hope that I'm living the same way that I'm living now. I would hope that many Bitcoiners are individuals who have low time preference. So they are not necessarily the type of people who seek riches for the sake of riches. And I hope I'm like that, inshallah, God willing.
Could Bitcoin be used as a tool for zakat?
So zakat is the alms tax, ALMS. It's the tax on wealth that all Muslims are obliged to pay. And typically it's 2.5% of their net investable wealth. So shares and cash in the bank and that kind of thing. Bitcoin is an asset like anything else, and zakat must be paid on Bitcoin holdings as well. But I think the beauty part about Bitcoin is that there's in theory no middleman. So you're cutting out that whole infrastructure of middlemen who take their cut from charitable donations. And the other thing is it's freedom money. So you can get Bitcoin to parts of the world where the banking rails won't allow you to get to. For example, in Gaza, to buy food and medicines on the ground, Bitcoin is one of the very few ways you can do this.
Oh, well, what is zakat? That's the next question. Nice.
Zakat is the alms tax, ALMS. It's the tax on an individual's wealth. So it is typically 2.5% of their net investable wealth and must be paid annually. And it's not charity, actually, it's an obligation. So charity happens after the zakat tax is paid.
Can non-Muslims access Islamic finance?
100%. Islamic finance is meant to be for humanity, not just for Muslims. It's meant to be an alternative ethical financial system that's good for society. It's meant to be risk sharing and real economy. These are all healthy things that ensure that we take into account all stakeholders within a society. And so it's for everyone.
Is mining Bitcoin a form of productive labor, or is it just a wasteful energy use? And how does Islam view that balance?
Well, we have to create Bitcoin in order to have Bitcoin. It has to come from somewhere, just like gold has to come from somewhere. And the beauty of it, it has a high stock to flow ratio. So there is a lot of it waiting to be mined, although there's not much left to be mined now. And there's a small flow of it because it's extracted at a relatively low rate, which keeps its value stable and non-inflationary. So that is all very positive. It's like gold in that sense. And it's an essential part of money creation.
Can Bitcoin fulfill the ethical goals of Islamic finance better than fiat currency? If so, how?
Fiat currency is the reason why the Islamic finance and banking model is not working today. Because Islamic finance today is based on money creation from nothing. Every time a bank, even an Islamic bank, enters into a financial transaction, a credit transaction, it's creating money from nothing, which is itself a type of riba, or interest or usury, because it's creating money from nothing, money out of money. So actually moving to a form of money that's proof of work, like a gold standard, like a Bitcoin standard, is actually inherently Sharia-compliant and Islamic. And Islamic financial systems that are built on a Bitcoin standard would truly be Sharia-compliant.
What is an Islamic bond? So sukuk, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
A sukuk is a type of bond that is predicated on a real asset or a real economic activity. So in theory, when a company raises a sukuk instead of a bond, it should be essentially offering an asset or an investment into a venture to its investors, and then, again in theory, sharing the risks or the profits or losses of that venture or asset with investors. In practice, unfortunately, the modern Islamic bond or sukuk industry has ended up becoming very bond-like, to the extent that they even use the same terminology, they even use the same yield curves as gilts and US treasuries and other forms of corporate and sovereign bonds. So really the difference between sukuk and conventional bonds has become very little.
What is Islamic finance?
Islamic finance is an alternative ethical financial system that is predicated on financing the real economy on a one-to-one basis. So every financial transaction has to represent a real business venture or a real asset or inventory. So that means that finance has a direct relationship with real trade and the real economy and is risk sharing. So it can't be the lending of money at interest. It has to be an investment in a particular business venture or asset or activity, and therefore profits and losses are shared as partners.
Which Muslim majority country is most likely to mine Bitcoin?
I would say the UAE is probably the most forward-thinking, or one of the more forward-thinking in this respect. I suspect they're already mining a lot of it. There may be other nations around the world. I would hope that the country of my heritage, which is Pakistan, would be looking at this much more seriously. They've created a digital asset council that they call the Crypto Council, but I very much hope that they start focusing on Bitcoin mining specifically.
How do countries operating under Sharia law finance national initiatives?
So countries that have Sharia law as a basis for their legislation typically are fully linked in and involved with the global monetary and financial and economic system. So many of them will be financing themselves through interest-bearing bonds and have a conventional banking industry regulated by a central bank that regulates fractional reserve banks. And in that respect, the Islamic finance industry for them would be very much a parallel industry. So they may, as they have done in countries like Pakistan, for example, and parts of the Gulf, they may establish frameworks for Islamic finance and Islamic banking, but it will generally not compete directly against the conventional banks. The conventional banks and the conventional banking and monetary system remains as per the rest of the world.
What does haram mean in a financial context?
Haram means religiously impermissible, something that is forbidden. So, for example, in finance, one may not finance ventures that are involved in vice activities, like arms manufacturing or alcohol or gambling or tobacco. It may also mean types of transactions that are considered unethical. So the classical examples that are used in classical scriptures are selling, say, the unborn calf within a pregnant cow, because there is uncertainty associated with that trade. You can't sell something that you don't necessarily own today. So these are fundamental ethical principles that are enshrined in Islamic finance, things that we may do and not do. And out of that, we have other offshoots, branches of various types of legal protections. For example, consumer protections. You may not exploit the weak or the vulnerable, for example. There are various checks and balances that are arranged around this.
Ah, man. The time is up. Your answers are so good, though. They're concise. They're complete. And I'm caught listening and learning while you answer and still like being mindful of the clock. How many
questions did we manage? Do you know?
Okay, so I can tell you how many we have left. Let's see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 6 questions left, which means you got
okay. That was not bad
15.
Then.
That was really good.
Fair way through it. Yeah.
That was really good. I have to say, I mean, how fortunate am I to be able to have you on the show to explain to explain to me one-on-one, aspects of Islamic finance. I thank you so much. I mean,
I'm so pleased to hear that. I mean, I was, I guess I was unsure as to whether I would be able to convey something in a nutshell. I think the 21 questions idea is a really great idea. And whether one can get across the nuance of the subject in 10 minutes or not. But I think it actually really went well.
It went very well. Yes, and perhaps like in the future, you can come back and we can revisit some of these questions. I think I should have done a difficulty adjustment, so to speak, and extended the timer, because these questions, it's not easy to bang out answers in 30 seconds per question.
Yeah. No, great. Happy to. Anytime.
So can you remind people where they can find you?
So I am on X under Haris Irfan, my own name, or under LinkedIn under my own name. My company is Cordoba Capital Markets, which can be found at www.ccmkts or ccmarkets.com. And that's where you can find me.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saida.
Keys. Yeah. Malak Quakes. Malak who? Yeah. Takes a Bitcoin off exchanges under self-custody. She runs her own node, providing liquidity. Yeah, she got her own keys. She got her own keys. She got her own keys. Yeah, she got her own keys. 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 Yeah, she got her own keys.